Welcome, everyone. Think of this explainer as a masterclass designed specifically for you. Yep, you, the grade 9 English student who's absolutely ready to unleash their creative voice. Today, we're going to explore the beautiful, sometimes challenging, but totally rewarding art of writing a one-act play. Okay, let's dive into this.
Let's be honest for a second. Have you ever sat down with this brilliant idea for a scene, maybe two characters locked in a really fascinating argument, but when you actually stared at the blank page, you just froze? Listen, as a teacher, I see this all the time. It is completely normal to feel kind of intimidated by the formatting, the structure, the whole shebang of turning your thoughts into a living, breathing script. But here is my promise to you today. We are going to demystify this entire process together, step by step, until you have the exact tools you need to write a masterpiece.
So, here is our game plan for today. We'll start with formatting your first draft, move on to the essential elements of narration, then exploring poetic elements, revising for coherence, and finally, mastering peer review.
First up, Section 1, Formatting Your First Draft. We like to call this the blueprint of your script.
I want you to start thinking of yourself not just as a writer, but as an architect. Before a director can build your world on stage, they need a pristine, perfectly measured blueprint to follow, right? And that blueprint starts with some absolute non-negotiables. At the top center, you need a captivating title. Then, you've got to introduce the people involved with a character list and some brief descriptions. Next, provide a basic prop list. This tells the stage crew exactly what physical objects are going to be needed. Then, just briefly describe your setting so we know exactly where and when we are. And finally, include a quick summary of the scene to set the stage in the reader's mind.
Now, what's really interesting about these formatting rules is how strict, yet incredibly simple they are. When you're writing a scene, you must capitalize each character's name, followed by a colon. Their spoken lines line up right next to that. But what about actions? Well, any movements, gestures, or even a specific tone of voice must be typed in brackets and italics. This instantly tells the actor reading the page, hey, do this, don't say this. It keeps your blueprint crystal clear.
Moving right along to Section 2, Essential Elements of Narration. Think of these as the building blocks of your story.
Let's define the single most important concept first, which is theme. Theme is the overarching idea that you, the writer, want the reader to understand. It's basically your personal commentary on a subject. Take a moment to really let that sink in. Got it? Okay, because every other literary element we're going to discuss is ultimately just a tool used to build and support your theme. It is literally the heart of your play.
Next up is conflict. This is the issue or problem your characters are confronted by. Without it, you really have no story, just a bunch of people standing around agreeing with each other. So, the crucial point is this. If theme is the destination you want your audience to arrive at, conflict is the engine that actually drives them there. Your entire narrative is structured around how your characters face this one central problem.
Speaking of structure, let's look at a standard plot timeline for a short, 10-minute, one-act play. We kick things off at minute 1 with the exposition, introducing the setting and characters. By minute 3, we hit the rising action, where events start to really build that central conflict. Around minute 5, boom, we hit the climax, the absolute highest, most intense point of tension. Then we enter the falling action at minute 7 as the dust settles, leading us right into the denouement at minute 10, which is just a fancy word for the final resolution of the conflict. It's a complete emotional roller coaster, all packed into one single act. To build that roller coaster, you're going to rely on a few vital narrative tools. First, your characters, the protagonist we're rooting for and the antagonist who opposes them. Then your setting, the time and place, which by the way can even work symbolically to reinforce your theme. Point of view, the perspective guiding the audience through the story. And finally your style, the unique diction, tone, and sentence structure that gives your play its very own distinct voice.
Which brings us to Section 3, Exploring Poetic Elements. This is all about shaping the rhythm of your script.
Now, drama doesn't always have to be just standard, everyday speech. The foundational element for adding rhythm to your dialogue is meter. Meter is made use of by paying attention to the syllables in each word and forming a pattern. As a playwright, when you use meter, you literally control the sound of the entire scene. You create a harmonious relationship between the words. Notice how the rhythm of my voice just changed right there? That is the power of meter. It gives your dialogue a musical heartbeat.
Building right on top of meter is the rhyme scheme. And hey, this isn't just for ancient sonnets. Rhyme can create an incredibly driving rhythm in dramatic dialogue. By using techniques like internal rhymes within a single line or identical and slant rhymes, you structure repeated sounds.
These patterns help your lines flow seamlessly into one another, creating an auditory experience that completely captivates a theater audience. Finally, to package all these poetic elements up, we look at the stanza and poetic form. A stanza structures your lines into distinct blocks, kind of like a paragraph does in standard prose. And the poetic form is the overarching blueprint that encapsulates that entire structure. It dictates how the rhyme scheme, the meter, and the stanzas all work together harmoniously.
All right, Section 4, Revising for Coherence. It's time to shift gears from creator to editor. So once you've drafted your play, utilizing all those narrative and poetic elements we just talked about, it's time for a major mindset shift. You're officially moving from creator to editor. To ensure your text hangs together logically and creates a really smooth flow, academics Oshima and Hogue suggest 4 brilliant ways to achieve coherence. 1. Repeating key nouns to anchor the reader. 2. Using consistent pronouns so we always know exactly who is speaking. 3. Using clear transition signals to link ideas between scenes. And 4. Strictly arranging your events in a logical, chronological order.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why this meticulous revision is so vital. If your dialogue is incoherent, you lose your audience completely. Clear dialogue, on the other hand, brings your audience along with you. It helps them understand the story, and it fuels indispensable character development. Unclear writing just makes your characters feel boring or confusing, which will cause your scene to fall completely flat, and no one wants that.
I want to give you a quick peek behind the teacher's curtain for a second. When you submit your final draft, this is exactly what I'll be looking at. This rubric evaluates your script across 5 major categories: organization and clarity, direction and format, story and creativity, characters, and dialogue. To hit that top tier, every single element, from your stage directions all the way to your character development, needs to be thoughtfully revised and perfectly clear. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Mastering Peer Review. Let's go over the workshop rules.
The good news is you won't be revising alone. Welcome to the workshop phase. This is where we learn the incredibly vital soft skills of giving and receiving constructive critique among your classmates. To maintain a safe and really productive environment, we have strict guidelines for peer review. First, always read the script all the way through before making a single comment. Second, point out what they did brilliantly, not just what needs fixing. Third, offer gentle suggestions, never harsh commands. Fourth, make sure your comments are highly specific to the text. Saying, "this is vague," doesn't actually help anyone. And finally, raise thoughtful questions to help the author see blind spots they might have missed.
Let's just pause and let this sink in for a moment. Editorial comments should be appropriate and constructive. Remember, you are critiquing the work, you are not critiquing the person. There is absolutely no need to be rude. We must always be respectful and considerate of our fellow writers' feelings and hard work.
Let's move on and see how this builds a truly supportive writer's room. When reviewing, don't let your personal opinions bias you. Basically, don't tell them to rewrite the plot just because you disagree with their theme. Also, try not to overwhelm them with a million tiny edits. Focus on the big picture first. But most importantly, avoid turning your peers' script into your script. Your job is to help them find their best voice, not to replace it with yours. We have covered so much ground today, from the rigid blueprints of script formatting to the fluid beauty of poetic elements, all the way to the collaborative power of the peer workshop. You now have every single tool a grade 9 playwright needs to succeed. So I leave you with this final exciting question. With your blueprint in hand and your workshop ready, what incredible story are you going to tell the world? Get out there, face the blank page, and start writing.